Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Daily Crypto Byte. Today is Thursday, August 12th, and I hope you're all having a wonderful Thursday morning. We got plenty to talk about today as we're seeing some profit taking across the board in major assets. Bitcoin, some profit taking at critical levels, ETH the same. So we'll talk about that and more. But before we hop into it, CJ, John, how are you gentlemen doing today?
Doing pretty well. It's been some interesting trading. Got right up to some of those key levels, and not surprising, CJ's been right that you get up to those levels, and it gives you doesn't necessarily ring a bell at the top or the bottom, but it certainly moves the odds in the favor of people that focus on these levels. That one level being 46 approximately thousand for the Bitcoin. If you don't hold it, then you have to retest some numbers. Do you think 42 is about where do we test back down to that, CJ?
That would definitely be one of the critical levels. I don't know if we go all the way back. If this is like a true strong area of profit taking as opposed to just kind of sideways consolidation, we'll see. But here, let's take a look at the chart and just go over that briefly to start the day.
What's interesting about this, current market, CJ, is the fact that we're retracing levels that, we saw earlier in the year, which really makes a nice setup for Fibonacci retracements. And those levels have been holding up very well, as you've been pointing out. So what are you seeing in terms of some critical levels here for Bitcoin?
The critical levels remain kind of where they've been. We have them at roughly 47. That's really the strongest resistance level being the 618 Fibonacci. Then we have one, mainly the 382. And so these are going to be the critical levels. I would be a little concerned from a bullish perspective if we lose that previous higher high with, a regression of something like that. But based on the supply and demand dynamics in the market right now, I don't think it's completely likely. I think we have something really interesting going on with Ethereum and Ethereum 2.0 and that lockup and continued scarcity. Also, I think something that's really noteworthy and very bullish from a macro viewpoint is user growth on the Bitcoin network. Typically in bear markets, or at least at the start of bear markets, like what we saw in 2017, see a massive drop off in user growth right at the peak of the market cycle. But that's not been the case with our recent price action. As you can see here at the tail right end, we've actually surpassed and have more users on the Bitcoin network now than we ever have in history. And we're actually way higher than our previous peak and where we were at 65K. So if we do kind of extrapolate this with Metcalfe's law and assume that each new user to the network brings a little bit of value with them, I think this is still an incredibly bullish metric, despite the fact that we are seeing some profit taking today down to maybe 42.
Yeah, we'll have to see. That's, certainly since you highlighted that, and I know virtually everybody listening and watching knows this, but what was resistance becomes support, and it becomes support until it breaks. I am with you that I don't know that we even have to test all the way down to that support. The fact that we moved so swiftly from 30,000 or sub 30 to 46,000 was pretty noteworthy. Making it through 38 and 42 and 45 on the way up there. I think we probably wore out a lot of the shorts, CJ. There's probably, I don't know if it's as much, like you say, it's probably not as much people piling on the short side right now as it is perhaps some of the shorter term traders taking profits on their short term trades, which again, you can never knock somebody for that. We all hear hodling all the time as something that, Bitcoiners encourage each other to do. But on the other hand, making money is kind of the goal here. And so if there are some of us that take some of our coins and take them off exchange and try not to look at it. And then there are a lot of us as well that like to trade. And I like to trade it. So I'm not short, but I certainly did take some profits up there on my trading account at Voyager. I took some at DOGE as well. Doge, I don't know if you guys saw that one. What was the high on Doge yesterday? I think Doge yesterday, guys, it's it's still sitting here at 26 cents. I mean, it was languishing at 19 and 20 cents for the longest time. It made a nice surge to the upside. And again, I'm a trader, so you can only sprinkle so much of that in front of me before I got to say, okay, I got to take a sniff.
Yeah. And I just want to quickly reiterate one point that you guys both kind of touched on there. And that's, the criticality of, maintaining this level right here at about 42K. As long as we stay above this and maintain this, lower high, we don't break this and, put in new critical levels down here, I'm still very encouraged. And we've had people in chat asking us about, this downturn in the CMF. This is something that, you'd expect to see when we have profit taking as we approach a critical level. There's some capital flowing out of the space. But for me, that's not a concern as long as we're able to put in a higher low here and perhaps bounce off this level around 42K and continue to climb higher. And I think that is what's going to happen. We're seeing already a decrease in bearish volume, and I think that's going to continue to kind of fall off as we approach this level. And I'm expecting a bounce from there. So, like we kind of talked about yesterday, these are critical turning points for Bitcoin, and bouncing off this level is critical for establishing the trend.
Certainly is. Now, as far as big news of the day or anything, guys, we were focused earlier in the week on whether or not the Senate would allow debate. They are not. So, of course, we know that what was in the bill as far as the $28 billion in taxes for crypto remains in the bill. Doesn't mean it passes the House, doesn't mean it's the law of the land yet. And hopefully, a little lobbying. They're late, but many of the foundations and funds that are set up by some of the pioneers of Ethereum and the like have funded some lobbying efforts that are definitely going in and trying to reverse some of that, if not all of it, from what the Senate sort of ludicrously slapped in there for this relatively small gain over years in taxes of miners and so forth versus, the massive spending package that they have. But now that news is kind of on the back burner. And like I said, the market eased a little bit, but it didn't exactly swoon here in the crypto land.
It was pretty interesting how that event kind of unfolded. But I think the other news that's been really interesting today has to do with Lionel Messi and tokens. This kind of leads into my Doge of the day as well. But Monty, you have anything to say? I know you're a soccer fan. Would you like to take this one?
Yeah, sure thing. So like CJ said, Messi, in my opinion, the greatest footballer of all time, just signed a new deal with PSG. This is a big deal. He's been with Barcelona for the entirety of his career since he was, 16 years old. Over 20 years he spent at Barcelona, and he's become more than a player there. He's a legend, an icon, a figurehead in the city of Barcelona. And finally, he's left, and he has moved to Paris Saint-Germain, where he'll be teaming up with some other superstars like Kylian Mbappe and Neymar Jr. And actually, what was really interesting about this, CJ and I got a text this morning from our boss, Dirk, who's a big football fan. He's a German guy. Texted us at about 6:30 this morning saying, PSG paid for part of Messi's contract with cryptocurrency, which was definitely interesting. So, CJ, I'll toss it over to you because I am sure that your asset is the one that, ties in with this story.
Yes, and that one is Chili's, not to be confused with the family restaurant, but
Baby back ribs.
Yes.
Baby back.
This one's actually been holding up decently. We are in the midst of a broader market sell-off, right, with some profit taking occurring. But this one is still very trending up, maybe a potential little inverse head and shoulders pattern here above some critical resistance. But, I'm definitely going to be watching Chili's because I think this is going to be a good target for many sports teams and kind of NFTs and how they want to incorporate that into their business models and organizations. And Chili's has been one that has been really popular. Raul Powell's talked about it a lot. And so really interesting to see this one kind of coming up with the news surrounding Messi in Barcelona. So I'll be watching Chili's. I think it's a pretty interesting long-term play, similar to sort of Mana and Engine. So yeah, that's going to be my Doge for today.
Very nice. How about you, Doc? You got anything for us today in terms of a Doge of the day?
I don't really. I'm going to let them pull back a little bit more if they do. And I think that in all likelihood, unless there's a catalyst the other way, that we might see a little more easing here. We've had such a great move, from, like Binance Coin, BNB moving up from 315 now to 380. And that's in the hundreds, $315 to $380 and so forth. It was higher than that. It is pulling back. Many of these, even some of our favorites, like let me see, Cardano here, pulling back. I don't know that I want to catch it right here. I'm going to see if we see a little bit of a turn at all in some of these altcoins into the weekend, Monty. And if we do, then I'd much rather be buying these tomorrow than, in other words, I'd like to see a little bit of a bounce, a stop and a bounce, rather than just, seeing where the profit taking takes us.
Yeah, I think a lot of traders are in that same boat with you, John. So I'm sure they'll be relieved to hear that you too are waiting to pull the trigger here. And, I'm also going to take a similar approach. I'm kind of waiting to pull the trigger, but I did want to point out a couple things. So CJ, he talked about Chili's, and that is what I was going to pick as, my Doge of the day today, just purely because of, fundamental reasons. But I also want to point out just the NFT space in general. I'm going to just share this chart real quick with you. And that's AXS, Axie Infinity. This thing has just been absolutely tearing it up on, some incredible bullish volume, ripping to the upside. This is an NFT play. I've talked about it before, I think on this show, actually, where it's kind of, they have these varying characters of differing degrees of, scarcity and rarity, and they have real world values to them depending on, how short printed they are. And this has absolutely boomed in popularity. And, when we see this happen in the NFT space, we see, a lot of the speculation pour into one sector of the NFT space. So right now it's like in Axie Infinity, and the crypto punks are selling like hotcakes. So I think right now is a good time to look at some of the NFT assets that aren't ripping to the upside. And those include, assets like Engine and Mana. They're kind of doing what John was just talking about and pulling back to moving averages. I think that, when we see some profit taking in assets like AXS, those profits are going to look to, some of the more cooled off assets like Mana and Engine. So just watch the NFT space, because there has been a ton of speculation there recently, and it really is just a powder keg waiting to explode. So I'll be watching Mana and Engine this weekend.
Love to hear it. Remember, folks, you can get $25 in Bitcoin just for entering Rebel 25 when you sign up at Voyager. Voyager also had news out today, folks. They put out their press release. We'll make sure we put it out from Market Rebellion too. I think the guys already have. But basically, the press release, I'll just read perhaps the headline. Voyager Digital and Market Rebellion announced next step in new brokerage platform. And most of you know this, but Voyager is a publicly traded company in Canada. VYGVF is the symbol. I'm not asking you to judge positive or negative on the stock, but I am saying that they are a publicly traded crypto platform that also has, of course, every state in the United States except New York, because of FinCEN being so difficult in New York. They are still trying, but it's not. Unfortunately, New York residents can't use it yet. But 50% investment in a new stock, options, and futures platform with us, with CJ, Monty, John, Pete, Dirk, with the team over at Market Rebellion. So we will have, when we put these two together, we will have stock, options, futures, and crypto. Cutting edge stuff. Of course, mobile as well as desktop. And, the last venture we did, we sold to E-Trade. This one is far more exciting. And we were pretty pumped about Voyager talking about this in their press release today. But again, if you open a Voyager digital account right now to trade crypto, they'll pay you up to 12% interest, 0 commissions, and they'll give you $25 in Bitcoin for typing in Rebel25 when you join in the promo bar.
Yep. And as always, if you guys want to hang out with CJ and I in the crypto room, you can try that for just $1 for the first month at marketrebellion.com/try crypto. We're in there pretty much 24/7 chatting with our community of traders from all around the world. We've got some really intelligent traders in there that share their insights on a daily basis, and we love to hear from them. So definitely go check that out. We also publish actionable trade insights, daily news articles. We have an education curriculum that we're adding to constantly, and so much more. So definitely go check that out if you're looking to get started trading crypto, or if you're just looking for a community. Once again, you can try that at marketrebellion.com/try crypto for just $1. And that's about all we got. We're going to be headed to Indy, CJ and I, to watch our boy Tommy Martins race against Landon Seal in the Voyager car. Pretty excited about that. You ready to go, CJ?
Bags are packed. Ready to shake and bake.
And they'll be down there, by the way, with Weatherman Josh, who is a TikTok legend, and he'll be running in a Market Rebellion car on the test track down there at the NASCAR event that'll be taking place at Indy. I think it's 8 o'clock Saturday night, guys, is when the official race with Tommy Martins is. But you guys are heading down there with those two crazy guys, Josh and Patrick, with their go-karts, I think tonight. And so you'll be perhaps coming from down there in Indianapolis tomorrow.
That's right. We are headed out tonight. So, yeah, we may be doing a Daily Crypto Byte live from there tomorrow. We got to figure out what exactly the schedule's like, but we'll keep you guys posted. So thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you again tomorrow. Take care.
Thank you.